Yasya yogam na vanchanti viyoga bhayakataraha bhajanti charanam bhojam munayo harimedasa.
Yasya yogam na vanchanti
viyoga bhayakataraha
bhajanti charanam bhojam
munayo harimedasaha. Yasya yogam na vanchanti viyoga bhayakataraha bhajanti charanam bhojam munayo harimedasa.
Yasya yogam na vanchanti
viyoga bhayakataraha bhajanti charanam bhojam munayo harimedasa. Yasya yogam na vanchanti viyoga bhayakataraha bhajanti charanam bhojam munayo harimedasa. Okay, so we lead word to word together. Yasya with the body, yogam contact, na do not, vanchanti yani desire, viyoga bhayakatara being afraid of giving up the body again, bhajanti offer transcendental loving service, charanam bhojam to the lotus feet of the Lord, munaya greatly saintly persons, harimedasa whose intelligence is always absorbed in thoughts of Hari, the supreme personality of God. Translation. Did I do? Translation.
Maharaj Nimi continued. Mayavadis generally want freedom from accepting a material body because they fear having to give it up again. But devotees, whose intelligence is always filled with the service of the Lord, are unafraid. Indeed, they take advantage of the body to render transcendental loving service.
Purport. Anybody would like to read the purport?
Maharaj Nimi did not want to accept a material body, which would be a cause of bondage, because he was a devotee. He wanted a body by which he could render devotional service to the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Janmobi more icha yadi tora, bhakta grihe jani janma hao mora, kita janma hao yata tuya dasa. My Lord, if you want me to take birth and accept a material body again, kindly do me this favor. Allow me to take birth in the home of your servant, your devotee. I do not mind being born there even as an insignificant creature, like an insect. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said, Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye mama janmanishvare bhavatad bhaktir ahaitukitvayi. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service to you. Shishastika stanza 4. By saying life after life, Janmani Janmani, the Lord referred not to an ordinary birth, but a birth in which to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a body is desirable. A devotee does not think like yogis and gyanis who want to refuse a material body and become one with the impersonal Brahman effulgence. A devotee does not like this idea. On the contrary, he will accept any body, material or spiritual, for he wants to serve the Lord. This is real liberation. If one has a strong desire to serve the Lord, even if he accepts a material body, there is no cause of anxiety, since a devotee, even in a material body, is a liberated soul. This is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Iha yasya hare datye karmana manasa gira nikhaya sapi asvato so jivan mukta sa uchyate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. The desire to serve the Lord establishes one as liberated in any condition of life, whether in a spiritual body or a material body. In the spiritual body, the devotee becomes a direct associate of the Lord, but even though a devotee may superficially appear to be in a material body, he is always liberated and is engaged in the same duties of service to the Lord as a devotee in Vaikuntha Loka. There is no distinction. It is said, Sadhur Jivo Va Maro Va. Whether a devotee is alive or dead, his only concern is to serve the Lord. Chaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti. When he gives up his body, he goes directly to become an associate of the Lord and serve him, although he does the same thing, even in a material body in the material world. For a devotee, there is no pain, pleasure, or material perfection. One may argue that at the time of death, the devotee also suffers because of giving up his material body. But in this connection, the example may be given that a cat carries a mouse in its mouth and also carries a kitten in its mouth. Both the mouse and the kitten are carried in the same mouth, but the perception of the mouse is different from that of the kitten. Meow. When a devotee gives up his body, Tyaktva Deham, he is ready to go back home, back to Godhead. Thus, his perception is certainly different from that of a person being taken away by Yamaraj or punishment. A person whose intelligence is always concentrated upon the service of the Lord is unafraid of accepting a material body, whereas a non-devotee having no engagement in the service of the Lord is very much afraid of accepting a material body or giving up his present one. Therefore, we should follow the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ahi Tuki Tvai. It doesn't matter whether we accept a material body or a spiritual body. Our only ambition should be to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, once again, translation. Maharaj Nemi continued, Mayavadis generally want freedom from accepting a material body because they fear having to give it up again. But devotees whose intelligence is always filled with the service of the Lord are unafraid. Indeed, they take advantage of the body to render transcendental loving service. So Shri Sagar Prabhu, thank you for this opportunity. And I'm very, very happy and overwhelmed by being here, coming from a very beginning and new Krishna house to a well-established, functional one. Very inspirational. This is 13th chapter of 9th canto. The summary is there is Maharaj Nimi who wanted to perform a sacrifice. So he requested his spiritual master Vishwamitra, and he asked him that can you perform sacrifice for him? He mentioned that, well, right now I am doing a sacrifice for Indra in heavenly planets. So let me finish that sacrifice and then I'll come back and perform sacrifice for you. So Maharaj Nimi thought, okay, and then the sage went to perform sacrifice and it took longer time. So King Nimi thought, well, it's taking longer time. So he hired some other priests to perform the sacrifice. And the sage came to know and he became very angry that why didn't you wait for me? Also because he disobeyed the orders of spiritual master. So then he cursed Maharaj Nimi that you die. And Maharaj Nimi also became angry. Maharaj Nimi thought, well, it was taking time and the sacrifice was needed at this point of time. So he counter cursed the sage that you also die. So they both leave their bodies. The sage leaves the body and he is born again. And Maharaj Nimi also leaves the body. But his body was being saved in some organic chemicals, so that after the end of Satya Yoga, if possible, he can be revived again. So this is the particular instance where after the Satya Yoga, the Brahmana and sages who saved the body of Maharaj Nimi, they actually prayed to demigods to give the body back. And here Maharaj Nimi is telling, basically he is telling, I don't want the body. And in the next verse, if you see, he specifically mentions, I do not wish to accept a material body, for such a body is the source of all distress, lamentation, and fear. Everywhere in the universe, just just as it is for a fish in the water, which lives always in anxiety because of fear of death. So he says, I don't want a material body. And this particular verse is where Maharaj Nimi continued. So this is he's speaking through subtle body to the sages that I don't want to accept this body. And the sage already took birth from Varuna and Maitri again. So the topic that I was requested to speak on is devotees are unafraid. And the point that Prabhupada brings up here is those who are purely engaged in the service of the Lord do not fear death. And their only desire is birth after birth. Let me engage in the service of the Lord. I was contemplating on it yesterday. And devotees who actually have an experience of serving full time, like totally engaged in service of the Lord, they are very, very fortunate. Um, like one Prabhupada disciple, in one lecture I was hearing, this devotee asked, actually my spiritual master, he was sharing that during the initial days of like our movement, most of devotees were used to serve full time. Just like I think Prabhupada Priya Devi was mentioning, if you want to go to 1966, go to Krishna house. So this is how exactly it was, ISKCON was before. And everybody would serve full time. And then what happened over a period of time, life is not so easy the way it looks today. After Srila Prabhupada's departure, slowly, a lot of obstacles came. And Prabhupada did mention that once the Acharya leaves, there is upheaval in the movement. And slowly, devotees started moving out. And before that, like my spiritual master says, when there was nothing, devotees were like living an austere life, and they were so much working hard to serve the mission, to share it with others. But then a lot of wealth came, and then offices came, and then cars came, and then good food came, and then devotees started sharing, well, you all go and preach and I will sit here. And slowly they started becoming relaxed in their own spiritual life, and they start let others do it, and others get the mercy, and they start holding themselves back. And slowly, because that enthusiasm was becoming weaker, they could not even continue. And then they started doing something else. And when they were asked again, then they say, well, those good old days. When I was a brahmachari, I was living in a temple and I was every day engaged in Krishna service. And then those 1-2 years is what they remember after 50 years of their life. Like, wow, those were the days, real days. So it's a great fortune to be able to serve Krishna with all our heart and soul. It will give us an experience. Now, when Prabhupada is mentioning here, the devotee, why does he wants a body? Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatad Bhakti Rahitu Kitwai. Birth after birth, let me engage in your devotional service. So Prabhupada is telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want an ordinary body. He wanted a body only to engage in the service of the Lord. And if we are engaged in that way, then there will be no fear of death. But the situation changes, and life, the way it looks now, there will be a lot of challenges, maybe after 5 years, maybe after 10 years. I mean, I was reflecting, this is a great environment. But then once devotees move to different phases of life, to maintain that enthusiasm, to be able to serve the mission is not very easy unless we are driven to serve Srila Prabhupada mission. Unless we are driven. It's something that comes from within. Rupa Goswami describes 6 qualities that are very important to make progress. What are those? Utsaha, Nichaya, Dhairya, Tattat Karma Pravartanat. So the first 3 are Utsaha, Nichaya, Dhairya. And the first is Utsaha, which is enthusiasm. And this enthusiasm, one way we can get enthusiasm is when we get enthusiasm by seeing the enthusiasm of others, which is a way to develop enthusiasm. But at some point of time, we want enthusiasm that is coming from within us. We need to become internally driven to serve the Lord, independent what the environment is. Like my spiritual master says that when he was living uphill in Vrindavan, he used to do like 6 aarti, 6 offerings, and he would have like 10 devotees with him, and environment was very nice. And slowly, slowly, one by one, devotees left, and then he was left alone. And then it was a test, and it was becoming difficult. But then, because he continued, so something happened. Many things happen in future. So it's a matter of, despite all difficult circumstances, if we can stand this independent of what circumstances we are in. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj was giving a lecture in Chowpatty, and one devotee asked Giriraj Maharaj, you have served the mission for 50 years undeviatedly. What it takes for us to do the same? How can we be like, consistent for like decades? And Giriraj Maharaj says, shelter of Guru and Krishna, dependence on Guru and Krishna, because obstacles will come. There will be many obstacles, but in those obstacles, if we can at every stage, if we can take shelter of Guru and Krishna, then that shelter will help us cross over. um, Yesterday we were hearing Krishna is our best friend, and Krishna is listening us. Like, best friend means he's closest to us, he's sitting in our heart, and he's listening to everything we are saying, and he always reciprocate as long as we turn towards him and take shelter of him. Now I wanted to speak something about fear. So some reflections on what role does fear play in our lives? How do we experience fear? Or any decision based on fear, or what stops us? Like, how devotee becomes unafraid. But when Prabhupada mentions devotee, he mentions like those who are pure devotees. They are fearless. But we have fear, and we want to become fearless. So first we want to identify how fear stops us from serving Krishna. Can someone reflect on how fear stops us from serving Krishna? Yes, Prabhu.
So, whoa, that's very loud. A lot of fear is expressed when we are on the mental platform, and I'll just share one particular angle on this. When we interact with other people, sometimes we're definitely on the mental platform thinking about, oh, what are they thinking right now? What are they thinking about me? Am I saying the right things? You know, just like really thinking, overthinking the interaction, basically. Whereas when we're more fully spiritually situated, generally all our interactions are underscored by just a joyful disposition. And we just, we happily and just very naturally and organically interact with people. So that's a very subtle form of fear, but I think it's very significant.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, that affects in a way our service to Krishna, because it just causes the interactions just aren't as natural as they could be.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Let us go.
So I think in the initial days, there were like a lot of people you were saying like who were serving full time. And so right now what like Kalakanta Prabhu has kind of established here, people give a certain years of their life to the mission, and then they can decide if they want to continue that or like switch to a different like ashram. But there could be that fear that even if giving like 2 years or 3 years of just serving the mission, like there could be the constant fear of like what would happen to my future, how would I earn money, how will I like, even if you don't have a family, you could have that fear like, how am I going to support my family in the future? So that could stop you from doing something like valuable for the movement. But if you trust like Krishna's plan and just feel like, let me try to give like my most valuable years for Krishna service. He will take care, like when I need something, he will take care of me. Afterwards, when I like need to transition, he'll also give me the right intelligence to do the right thing. So that, yeah, that surrender will remove that fear.
Thank you. That's the point we are trying to discuss today. How surrender removes the yes.
Speaking about history of ISKCON, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu has this Cure of Souls seminar where he talks about how difficult it can be when you have a very high standard for your behavior and you want to make spiritual progress, like in ISKCON, and if there's an environment where you feel like you'll be judged if you say like, oh, I broke one of the regulative principles and, I don't know what to do about that. Or you have some kind of like shortcoming and you don't know how to deal with it. And you're really afraid of talking to other people because they'll like shun you or cast you out or something like that. And that's a very dangerous kind of fear because that directly interferes with people's spiritual growth. Because then if they're that afraid or if they come out and say it and then they're judged, then they leave the association of devotees.
Thank you. Yes. Prabhupada Devi.
Hare Krishna. I think fear of failure is something that really is an obstacle. So, maybe that we're called upon to do a service to go and, like few devotees from here have been called upon to, go and help out with new projects. And you're thinking, but what if it fails? What if I'm useless? What if nobody listens to me? What if there's no resources? Where will I stay? What will I even eat? It's like a lot of unknowns, and then also lack of confidence in one's own ability to do a higher level service, and that you just won't be able to do it, and that everyone will realize what a loser you are because you couldn't do it, and you don't want to feel that.
Thank you. Just give it to
Haribo. Yeah, I was thinking that on this point of fear, like we render service when we succumb to the fear, we're serving the false ego. But then when we decide to go against that, then we serve Krishna with trust and faith that, it'll be okay.
Thank you. So how do we overcome these fears in our lives? They are very prominent, and even in small environment, we can be like, there is one devotee who would give excellent classes. When he would speak, like very inspiring. So one devotee asked him, Prabhu, you should speak every week. And then he didn't want to speak because his fear was, I may not be able to perform the same if I speak every week. Like, just the fear of how well we perceived, because I may not do well, I may do well. Just like, it's another example of fear of failure. Or sometimes people may be hesitant to lead kirtans or do something because I may not be able to, like, I may be devalued, something. So there are many fears that stops us from serving Krishna. When we come into the center, then Krishna is not there. Then it's all about devotional service that can promote me. Devotional service that makes me comfortable. When me goes in the background, Krishna comes into the picture, then independent of who I am, it's about serving Krishna. Krishna come in the center, fear goes away. And how we overcome fear in all those situations is when we bring Krishna in the center. Okay, why I want to speak? Let me glorify Krishna. But the moment we speak to glorify ourselves, fear, anxiety, everything will come. Why I want to do kirtan? What does kirtan mean? I want to glorify Krishna. Everything is meant to glorify Krishna. When we do something glorify Krishna, fear won't be there. And another thing is dependence on Krishna. Actually, every opportunity of fear is an opportunity to depend on Krishna. Like Prabhupada Devi was mentioning about devotees going out, say somewhere to help. Then the fear will stop us. No. Why? I don't know what lies there. Now, here is an opportunity to depend on Krishna. Okay, let me take shelter of Krishna. and let me depend on Krishna. We grow by depending on Krishna. Every opportunity where we go beyond our comfort zone is an opportunity to depend on Krishna. Can we see some examples of how devotees became fearful and how they took shelter of Krishna? And how they, okay, any examples from scriptures? Maybe Krishna's pastimes. How devotees overcome fear. Yes, Jiva Prabhu.
In the Agasura pastime, the coward
Yeah.
boys at first they were a little bewildered because they could see there's something weird going on here. But they saw Krishna strolling in, so they just thought, we'll be fine. We are with Krishna, and we're just gonna depend on him and trust him.
Actually, it's very, very instructive pastime. Those cowherd boys, they entered into the mouth of Aghasura. I mean, into the mouth of a snake, and they were smelling this dead corpses of what Aghasura has eaten. And then they were like, and Krishna is stopping them. And Krishna is thinking, hey, where are you going? He's a demon. Krishna is stopping the cowherd boys. And they looked at him and they're like, hey, and they started running inside. And they are telling their friends, they are telling this looks like a snake. And then they're like, oh, like a snake. That's okay, Krishna is there. And there is just this one thought that Krishna is there and Krishna is my protector. And they went in. And Krishna himself is trying to stop them. And they're like, hi. And they went inside. Krishna is thinking, what is this energy? What is the power of my yoga maya? I myself cannot influence them. And then he runs and he's just keeping the mouth open. So this is like entering into a risk zone, entering into a danger zone, thinking that Krishna is there and Krishna will help me. Okay, any other example? Yes.
Srila Prabhupada coming to America.
Can you say something more?
Well, he writes, that he doesn't know if these Western boys and girls will listen to him, if he'll have anything to say that's valuable, and then he just came, and yeah.
Now, now it's actually a fearful situation, like we hear Malti Prabhu and the 6 devotees, they went to Europe to start Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj to go to China and start Krishna conscious movement. One devotee was going by train with Prabhupada. Prabhupada told him, get down here. What will I do? Start Krishna conscious in the city. Go. And he's like, okay. that was Delhi. So in this way, Prabhupada would, now there is certainly fear because these are very difficult circumstances, but what made them take those steps in spite of so many uncertainties? Uncertainties cause fear, but what make them overcome those uncertainties?
He simply wanted to serve his Guru Maharaj.
The faith in Guru. When there is like Guru's words are very powerful. When devotees say something, do it, then it's a time to overcome our own inconveniences and see the hand of Krishna and then just do it. And that's what surrender means. Like yesterday, I was talking to one devotee and I asked him, so do you have any thoughts about moving to Krishna house? He said, yes, I do have a desire. Some devotee in the campus, he was chanting. So I asked him, he said, I'm thinking about it, but then I have a concern. I said, what is a concern? He said, right now I'm very comfortable. I have my space. Once I move to Krishna house, I may lose my independence. So I'm not yet sure if I should move in there. Then I was telling him, Prabhu, this is an opportunity, take shelter of Krishna. And see that if Krishna has a plan, it's good for you. And it's only 3 months. Just try it out and try it out. He said, yeah, 3 months sounds very encouraging. Just 3 months. But there are so many inner things that actually stops us to take the step towards Krishna. And words of Guru are very potent. Like my personal example, Kalakanda Prabhu requested me last year to visit Krishna's Gainsted. I was very busy and I'm like, then I said, okay, Prabhuji, I'll visit. Then, but that time I could not visit last year. And then he again emailed me like 1 month back. He said, Shaman Krishna Prabhu, so what do you think? You want to come? And then, like right now I'm here. So there are many devotees who are covering the services. So I said, yes, I will come. And there was some inhibition because many things are getting kind of affected. But I'm like, okay, if a pure devotee says come, then go. Krishna has a plan. Krishna has a plan. Krishna has a plan. And that's how we try to see is like if a devotee is telling something, if a pure devotee is saying something, or senior devotee is saying something, Krishna has a plan. And that helps us to go beyond our thought process into a risk phase. Like so many times Prabhupada would say that take risk for Krishna. How many of you have heard that? Take risk for Krishna. And I can share my own example. Like it is little difficult to take risk for Krishna because there are so many uncertainties. Like, can I share something personal that I have experienced? Like we started like Bhakti Vriksha. So there were like maybe 10, 15 devotees. Okay. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So there were like 10, 15 devotees. And then first we thought, let's move this program to a neutral location instead of home. Let's move it to a church and maybe more devotees can join. More devotees may be inspired. So we thought, okay, but then where do we get, say, $400 monthly to pay $100 every week to rent a room, to rent the church for an evening? Then, I mean, I never asked any money from devotees. We're like, okay, let's try this. And then we somehow, some more devotees came. There was some risk involved, but very little risk involved. But we were like, okay, let's try it out. There was some uncomfortability. Then some devotees, we would give like 200, and then some new people came and they would just give money here and there. So that's how we were like, oh, this is working. And then when devotees saw, like the new people, when they saw they're renting, there must be some expenses, they gave some more money. And then slowly we were like increasing our Krishna consciousness. And then we proposed this idea of let's buy a property. I mean, this is after like 8 to 10 years of, once devotees grow, we were like, let's buy a property. How much will it cost? Like, around $500,000. Oh no. I mean, they can maximum give $15,000-$20,000. Now, where the money will come from? $500,000. So like, let's try. And then the other big concern was to maintain a property will cost $3,000 to $4,000. Where the money will come from? And everybody was inspired by Krishna will provide. Let's take some risk. And in a way, we are going through so many different steps, and actually there were a lot of struggles. Honestly, a lot of struggles. First, it took us almost a year to raise the funds. And right now, our Krishna house expenses is like around $4,000. And there is no financial model in a way. Like devotees give like $1,000, still $3,000 deficit. And we are experiencing over past whatever 9 months we have, Krishna provides. From where it comes, we have no idea. Every month, somebody will give some donation. Somebody will be inspired. Somebody will like, we don't ask anyone, bro. But somehow it comes. I'm sure Shruti Sagar Prabhu has that experience. No matter what happens, Krishna provides. I mean, to the extent you take this for Krishna, that extent Krishna will provide you. Tomorrow, guaranteed, tomorrow you rent a house like what Prabhupada would do. It's same thing, right? He would go and rent a place. And then like we'll distribute books and rent will come. And then there is no money for next month rent. Somebody would come. You heard about Shyam Sundar Prabhu? Who are like money flying, and he counted the money and he's like, it was the last day, no rent to pay. And if you see, devotees are always taking risk. And then Krishna will provide. Why? Because we are not doing it for ourselves. This is not like my job. We are not getting any fat salaries from here. Or it's Krishna's service. So when it's Mahaprabhu's service, he'll provide. All we have to do is to be able to take some risk. And what stops us from doing anything is the fear factor. What if? How it will happen? Where it will happen? And that's the opportunity to depend upon Krishna. If you don't depend upon him, how will he reciprocate? He will reciprocate to the extent we take shelter of him. What I mean, we hear, right? Sarva Lokam Maheshwaram. He is the owner of everything. Prabhupada says, like he went to a park and he said, yeah, everything belongs to us. Because they have spent so much, they have done so much, but all belong to us. Why? Because we are Krishna's devotee, Krishna is the owner. And Krishna will never make us sit comfortably. I think our Prabhu has experience. We can never be comfortable in Krishna consciousness. Krishna will keep you at the edge only. Why? Because otherwise we may become, comfort will make us relaxed. It'll keep us at the edge. And Prabhupada would say, don't save money in the temples. If you have money, invest in some projects. He would not want us to just keep accumulating. So we are always, today also, we don't know about next month. It's not there in the account. Next month. But there is no anxiety. Why? Because we have seen so much that Krishna will provide. So there is no need to take anxiety. How many of you have experienced whenever we start a program, any program, if you have experienced, Krishna will send one or two sincere souls in any program you start. Anyone has experience in the beginning? Any program you start, Krishna will send you some people who will maintain it. You all agree, right? There is nothing to fear. All we have to overcome is our own blocks and take shelter of Krishna. This block keep us pushing down. How long we want to be overcome by fear, it's our choice. 2 times Krishna repeats the same thing. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. One who become free from anger, attachment, and fear will attain my shelter. Because if fear is there, we cannot attain Krishna's shelter, right? Because we don't want his shelter, because we want to be overcome by our own fear. It's an opportunity. Just all we have to do is, let me try. It's okay to fail. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, how will I be perceived? It just blocks us to go closer to Krishna, our own fears. Okay, so that's all I had. If there is some discussion, reflection, we can take. Yes, maybe one of you. Probably.
Thank you for very beautiful points. I was thinking that there's one thing to be afraid of failure when actually you could do it and there is help and there is possibility, and of course there's always Krishna. But what if you're objectively not qualified? Like there's a service that's available and you're just like, no, I just don't have the skill set for that. So then would it be irresponsible to, step into that position when you know that you're not going to, they could probably find someone better?
So I'll share my 2 cents opinion. You are much more qualified than me. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Shema Mahamiyaham. I carry what you lack. Jagadguru Prabhu, he's temple president of Detroit Temple, he approached me. He says, Prabhu, this month can you distribute 100 Bhagavatam sets? I never distributed one complete Bhagavatam set. He just came to me and said, Prabhu, can you distribute 100 Bhagavatam set in this month? I said, no, Prabhuji. I said, sorry, Prabhuji, I cannot distribute. He said, that is the problem with you guys. And then I was just like, in a state of shock, just sitting there, head down. He said, that is the problem with you guys. You think you are the doer. And then he said, Krishna can make you distribute 1,000 sets in this month. Do you have that faith? I mean, I see a point there, but I said, Prabhu, I don't have that faith. I don't have faith on myself only that I can distribute 1,000 Bhagavatam set. He said that is the difference between Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama. What the Chaitanya Charitamrita says. Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, Shraddha Anusari. According to Shraddha, one is divided into which category one is in. There is faith, faith, faith that defines beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Everything is based on faith. The amount of faith Uttama Adhikari has cannot be mimicked by others. So just a matter of faith. But I agree with you, we may lack something, but it's like Prabhuji asked me, can you give Bhagavatam class? My first response was no. Kevin Prabhu asked, can you do? My first response was no. Then I'm like, everything is happened by Krishna's arrangement. Don't say anything. Just surrender. Just whatever Krishna says, do it. Whatever Krishna's will, do it. Because what really stops us is, I'm not qualified. But it's not about me. It's about, I'm not making endeavor. It's about Krishna. Krishna will help. I mean, what is our qualification? What qualities? I'm talking about myself. What qualities we have? But the thing is, Krishna is all powerful. Everything is like you were mentioning, Krishna is supreme controller. Everything, Krishna gives the intelligence, you mentioned, Krishna gives the wealth, Krishna gives everything. So all we have to do, one devotee told me, whenever devotee says something, just surrender. Devotee says sing, sing. If devotees don't say anything, don't just be very forceful to do it your own way. Just wait. Like one time I remember, His Holiness Sadhanath Maharaj, he would appoint somebody to lead kirtans. And like Yugal Kishore Prabhu, he's my Shiksha Guru, he was there. So for a long time, Maharaj was not singing Mangal Aartis. So he asked Maharaj, why don't you sing sometime? Maharaj said, nobody asked me. Nobody asked me to sing. So Yugal Kishore was mentioning that Maharaj was not like, he is guru of the most of them. He was not asking, today I will sing. He's like, if Krishna doesn't want me to sing, Krishna doesn't want me to sing. If Krishna will ask me to sing, Krishna will communicate. And he's like, oh, Krishna doesn't want me to sing. So there is, okay, Prabhu, did I answer this? Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
I just wanted to point out that we also have a responsibility to create a fearless environment and experience for other devotees. And this ties in a lot with the kind of thing Christina was mentioning with the Cure of Souls lecture series. One of the best things we can do for devotees and for newcomers is to genuinely make them feel like they're not being judged in any way. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like if I have one redeeming quality over the years that I've been practicing, I've always tried my best to make sure devotees understand that I don't judge them in any way. Of course, it's like an art of how not to judge, because at the same time, we don't judge someone, but if you have even any level of seniority to them and you have to guide them, then of course you have to recognize what shortcomings they might have or what they are struggling with. But there's a difference between recognizing those things and judging them for it. And in the short time that I've been practicing, you see many people come and go. Unfortunately, we all go through some struggles, and sometimes devotees completely give up their practice. But many of those devotees, I'm still friends with them, and sometimes they start practicing again. And those friendships can be very valuable for them. And I think Krishna allows me to serve in this way to maintain a connection with them. Because genuinely I have a desire just to be their friend. It's not about them fitting in a particular box, you know, having all the check marks of being a certain devotee with all the redeeming qualities. No, they're human beings. I'm a human being, and we just try and love each other and support each other.
Thank you for the comment. Yes, Tyler, bro.
Thank you for class. Thank you for class.
Hare Krishna.
Touching back onto the topic of fear, a friend of mine came to me some days ago, kind of with the realization that in the Gita, Krishna refers to himself, I am time. And kind of what he was going on to say is that we don't honor the time it takes between where we're at and where we want to be, that we're not necessarily honoring Krishna in that situation. And I'm just wondering if you have anything to say on that kind of topic.
That Krishna's time I am.
Yes, honoring the time between us as Krishna itself.
Like how much time I have to go to Krishna.
You have a goal that you're fearful you will not achieve. And there's time between where you stand and that goal.
If like Prabhupada would say, the success behind, I'm talking from the project perspective, Prabhupada would say success behind a project is, if you want to start a project, go there. And then he said, stay there. And his success will come. It will take time. Many things now. Krishna house, this Krishna house is like 50 years old, I heard. 15 years, yeah. Kalakan Prabhu was yesterday mentioning, like when we started, there were 4 of us. All 4 were 50s. And number of plates of prasad was consistency. And actually, Kalakanda Prabhu was mentioning, I attended one of his seminar. He gave a seminar in Chicago on Western outreach. I think in 2012 or 2013, Ramabad Maharaj organized in Chicago. So he was mentioning that I have been praying to Krishna for decades. Krishna, please send me sincere souls. I assure you I will take care of them. Please send me sincere souls. And he said, then Krishna showed the way. So things manifest and things takes time from. But then one thing that is needed is patience. It's okay, because just keep trying. How much patience Prabhupada exhibited to start his call? It's like, I think Sasaru Maharaj calls it a lifetime of preparation. A lifetime of preparation. Just try. Lose hopes. Try. Don't lose hopes. Try. If you don't exhibit patience, then it never happens. For something to happen, first Krishna will test. Not yet ready. Test. Not ready yet. Test. Till that time, Krishna will keep testing. Not ready yet. Test. Then Krishna may give. But nothing good comes easy. And even in practice of devotional service, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, okay, Krishna holds on to give himself, to give us, like our progress is based on our absorption, Krishna consciousness. Doesn't give easy. Hold on. Gradually, Krishna gives drop by drop. Krishna consciousness comes. Some realization I have is Krishna is time. Whatever you want to do in a day, you will do it. Whatever you don't want to do, you will not do it. Time is never a concern because Krishna is time. For example, some devotees say, Prabhu, no time to read. No, not time to read. No desire to read. It's never no time to read. It's just you are trying to justify your lack of desire and blaming it onto time. If you have a desire, you will make it happen. If you want to do 64 rounds tomorrow, you will make it happen. You know what stops us from doing anything in Krishna consciousness is a desire. Krishna orchestrates everything in our life. And like sometimes I woke up very late. Sometimes it happens. I didn't hear the alarm, or I set the alarm. Like usually set the alarm to say 2 or 2:30 a.m. And somehow if I set the alarm to 2:30 p.m., then I get up at like 4 o'clock. I'm like, what happened? And then I see the alarm. Where did the alarm go? I thought 2:30 p.m. because I just turned on instead of AM PM. And I'm like, oh, why did Krishna do that to me? And then just the day will reveal why Krishna did that on that particular day. Everything, every Krishna knows what will happen. We don't know. Krishna knows how much time will go where we don't know. Krishna can make a service that you take 2 hours to be done in half an hour. And Krishna can make half an hour service that you do in 5 hours. Krishna will fill your day with what you want to do. He'll fill it. And if you add more, Krishna will fill even those things within that day. How much service you see these pure devotees do? Like a lot, right? 24 hours. But they can do a lot. You can prepare a lecture in half an hour. You can prepare a lecture in 2 hours. You may not prepare in 5 days also. It all depends upon how frequently Krishna will reveal to you. Everything is controlled by Krishna. It's just a matter of acknowledging and observing it. Just observing the hand of Krishna. Like I think Govind Prabhu wrote a book, Hand of God. Seeing the hand of God. Everything is just in seeing the hand of Krishna. And anything happens, don't blame anyone. It's Krishna's plan. Everything good or bad is Krishna's plan. When I joined full time, there was one devotee. He would give me like lot of troubles. Like in beginning, I was thinking, I think I should start working again. I was much better off working and practicing and so much stressed in temple. Then I asked Yugal Kishore Prabhu, I said, Prabhu, I think I was more Krishna conscious before. He said, that's Maya, Prabhu, don't worry. Just stay here. Krishna wants you to leave. Just stay here. I said, okay. And the suffering continued. Then I went to New Vrindavan. I've seen, especially when devotees join full time, they get a lot of troubles generally. Sometimes a lot of mental health. And sometimes it's just the physical health. Many things comes. So I went and there was Varsana Maharaj. He looked at me. He said, he smiled. Then he said, whatever situation Krishna has put you in is the perfect situation for you. That's it. I did not have to say anything. He did not say anything further. He left. I also left. He said, whatever situation you are in, that is a perfect arrangement of Krishna for you. Because everything is an opportunity to grow. Okay, it's 8:35. We will end here. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If I spoke anything inappropriate, please forgive me as a humble servant. Then Pranam Hare Krishna. Thank you. जब इंद्रिया का एक काल जीव